Taehyun Park stood in the hallway outside the commandant's office and tried to keep his hands from shaking. The metal walls of Viridian Prime Station reflected his pale face back at him. 22 years old, third-generation Space Corps, and now everything was falling apart. The door opened. Commander Reyes stepped out, his reptilian eyes cold and unreadable. He was tall, covered in green scales, and moved with the careful precision of a predator. When he spoke, his voice clicked and hissed through his translator. "Cadet Park, come inside." The office was simple: a desk, 3 chairs, and a large window showing the stars beyond the station. Admiral Vextar waited inside, her insectoid body folded into a chair that seemed too small for her. She had been in the military for over 300 years. Her compound eyes watched Taehyun enter, and he felt like she could see right through him. "Sit down, Cadet," she said. Her voice came through the translator as sharp and brittle. Taehyun sat. His dress uniform felt too tight around his neck. "Do you know why you are here?" Commander Reyes asked. "No, sir, that was a lie." Taehyun knew exactly why. 3 weeks ago, his entire squad had died during a routine patrol mission in contested space. 6 cadets had gone out. Only Taehyun had come back. The rescue team had found him unconscious in the escape pod, covered in blood that wasn't his own. Admiral Vextar leaned forward. "You are being summoned to face the trial of valor before the 9 judges." The words hit Taehyun like a physical blow. The trial of valor was ancient, something from the early days of the Galactic Coalition. It was reserved for military personnel accused of serious crimes or suspected of cowardice in battle. The last cadet who had faced the trial was 50 years ago. That cadet had never graduated. No one knew what had happened to him. "I don't understand," Taehyun said quietly. "I submitted my report. I told them everything I could remember." "That is the problem," Commander Reyes said. "You cannot remember the final 4 hours of the encounter. Your neural scans show evidence of trauma, but no physical damage to your brain. The medical team cannot explain it." Taehyun's hands clenched into fists on his lap. He had tried so hard to remember. Every night he dreamed about those missing hours, but the dreams made no sense. Fire and screaming and the feeling of his hands on the controls, but nothing concrete, nothing useful. "The tribunal has questions," Admiral Vextar continued. 6 cadets died. You survived without serious injury. Your escape pod's data was corrupted. There are no witnesses. Do you understand why this looks suspicious? "Yes, ma'am." "The trial will begin in 3 days," she said. "You will face the 9 judges alone. No legal counsel, no witnesses, no preparation time beyond what you already know." Taehyun felt his stomach drop. "Alone?" "That is the nature of the trial," Commander Reyes said. "You will stand in the Chamber of 9 and answer for your actions. The judges will use every tool at their disposal to determine the truth. Simulations, neural probing, memory extraction if necessary. Memory extraction can kill humans," Taehyun said. His voice came out smaller than he wanted. "We're not built for that kind of technology." "Then you should hope it does not come to that," Admiral Vextar said. There was no sympathy in her voice. "You are dismissed, Cadet. Report to the chamber in 3 days at dawn cycle. Do not be late." Taehyun stood on shaking legs. He saluted, turned, and walked out of the office. The door closed behind him with a soft hiss. The hallway outside was empty. Taehyun leaned against the wall and closed his eyes. 3 days. He had 3 days to prepare for something that could not be prepared for. Footsteps echoed down the corridor. Taehyun opened his eyes and saw Jiwoo Kim approaching. She was another human cadet, one of only 15 humans at the academy out of 3,000 students. She and Taehyun had been friends since basic training. "I heard," Jiwoo said softly. She stopped a few feet away, her expression worried. "The whole academy is talking about it." "What are they saying?" Jiwoo hesitated. "Some people think you ran away, that you abandoned your squad when things got bad. Others think you're hiding something, that maybe you caused the attack somehow." Taehyun laughed, but there was no humor in it. "And what do you think?" "I think you're my friend," Jiwoo said firmly. I think something terrible happened out there, and you're the only one who survived. I don't believe you're a coward. Thanks, Taehyun said. He meant it. They walked together through the station corridors. Other cadets passed them, and Taehyun could feel their stares. Whispers followed him everywhere now. The human who survived, the one who came back alone. Do you remember anything else? Jiwoo asked quietly. Anything at all? Taehyun tried to think back. The mission had been simple. Patrol the border sectors, check for unauthorized ships, report back. They had been doing these missions for months without problems. His squad leader had been Captain Junho Nam, a human officer with 10 years of experience. The rest of the squad had been a mix of species. Minho Choi, another human, 2 insectoid pilots, a reptilian engineer, a feline weapons specialist. They had detected an unknown ship on their sensors. Captain Nam had ordered them to investigate. Standard procedure. They had approached carefully, weapons ready but not armed. Then, nothing. Taehyun's memory simply stopped. The next thing he knew, he was waking up in the medical bay 3 days later. I remember the approach, Taehyun said slowly. Captain Nam was calm, professional. Minho was running sensor scans. Everything seemed normal. And then there's just nothing, like someone cut out those hours from my head. The doctor said it was trauma, Jiwoo offered. Maybe. But Taehyun wasn't sure. The blank space in his memory felt wrong. Not like forgetting, but like something had been taken from him. Removed. Hidden. They reached the cadet quarters. Jiwoo stopped outside her room. Taehyun, she said. Whatever happens in that trial, remember something. You're human. We're tougher than they think we are. Don't let them break you. Taehyun nodded. I'll try. That night, Taehyun couldn't sleep. He lay in his bunk and stared at the ceiling, thinking about the trial. The 9 judges were legendary figures in the coalition. They came from the most powerful species in the galaxy. They had centuries of experience, advanced technology, and the authority to end his career with a single word. What chance did one human cadet have against them? But there was something else bothering him, something beyond the fear. In the back of his mind, in that blank space where his memory should be, Taehyun felt something stirring, a sense of wrongness, a feeling that the truth was much worse than anyone suspected. He thought about Captain Nam's face in those final moments before his memory cut out. The captain had been looking at something on his display screen. His expression had changed from professional calm to shock, and then he had turned to Taehyun and said something. What was it? Taehyun closed his eyes and tried to remember. The words were right there, just out of reach. Captain Nam's final order, given in the seconds before everything went dark. Survive. Taehyun whispered into the darkness of his room. He told me to survive. But why? What had Captain Nam seen? What had made a veteran officer with 10 years of experience give such a desperate command? 3 days later, Taehyun would face the 9 judges. 3 days later, he would enter the chamber and stand alone before the most powerful beings in the galaxy. 3 days later, the truth would begin to emerge, and the judges would realize that they had made a terrible mistake in summoning this human cadet. The Chamber of 9 was older than most civilizations. It had been built by the first coalition species thousands of years ago, carved from a single piece of crystalline rock that hummed with ancient energy. The walls glowed with soft blue light, and holographic displays floated through the air like ghosts. Taehyun stood in the center of the chamber, and he had never felt so small. The 9 judges sat in elevated positions around him, forming a circle. Each judge represented a different species, a different perspective, a different way of seeing the universe. Admiral Vextar was there, her insectoid form motionless. Beside her sat Matriarch Kel, an ethereal being made of pure energy contained within a glowing sphere. Warchief Brant occupied the largest seat, his massive armored body barely fitting into the space. Scholar Thiv was there too, representing the hive mind species, dozens of small creatures moving as one. The other 5 judges remained silent and watching. Taehyun could feel their eyes on him, studying him like an interesting specimen. Commander Reyes stood near the entrance, his role as trial coordinator keeping him separate from the judges. He activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. "Cadet Taehyun Park," Admiral Vextar said, "you stand accused of abandoning your squad during combat operations. You stand accused of cowardice in the face of the enemy. You stand accused of falsifying reports to cover your actions. How do you respond?" "Not guilty," Taehyun said. His voice echoed in the vast chamber. "I did not abandon my squad. I do not remember what happened." "Convenient," War Chief Bront rumbled. His voice was like grinding stones. "The accused always claims memory loss." "The medical reports support his claim," Scholar Thief said. The hive mind's voice was strange, like dozens of people speaking in perfect unison. "His neural patterns show genuine trauma. Or genuine deception," Matriarch Kel said. Her voice was musical, beautiful, and cold. "Humans are clever creatures. They have learned to deceive even our advanced scanners." Commander Reyes stepped forward. "The first test will begin now. Cadet Park, enter the simulation sphere." A section of the floor opened up and a transparent sphere rose from below. It was large enough for Taehyun to stand inside, filled with holographic projectors and neural sensors. Taehyun had heard about simulation spheres. They could recreate any environment, any situation with perfect accuracy. More importantly, they could force the person inside to experience it as if it were real. Taehyun stepped into the sphere. The transparent walls sealed shut around him. Immediately, sensors attached to his temples, his wrists, his chest. He felt a moment of panic as the chamber around him disappeared. He was back in space, back in his fighter craft, back in the moment before everything went wrong. The simulation was perfect. Taehyun could see the control panel in front of him, feel the vibration of the engines beneath his seat, hear the comm chatter from his squad mates. It was like traveling back in time. "All units maintain formation," Captain Junho Nam said over the comm. His voice was calm and professional, just as Taehyun remembered. "We have an unknown contact bearing 270, approaching to investigate." Taehyun watched his own hands move on the controls, guiding his fighter into position. To his left flew Minho Choi in his craft. Minho had been his friend, another human cadet with big dreams and a quick smile. "Sensors show the contact is not broadcasting identification codes," Minho reported. "Hull configuration unknown, not matching any species in the database." "Weapons cold," Captain Nam ordered. "Let's not start an incident. Approach carefully." The unknown ship came into view. It was strange, organic-looking with smooth curves and no visible weapons ports. It hung in space like a sleeping creature. Then everything changed. The unknown ship opened fire without warning. Energy beams cut through space, striking one of the insectoid pilots. The fighter exploded in a ball of flame and debris. "Evasive maneuvers," Captain Nam shouted. "All units return fire." His transmission cut off. Taehyun saw Captain Nam's fighter spin away, engines flickering. Another blast hit the reptilian engineer's craft, another explosion, but this time the simulation didn't stop. This time, Taehyun's memory continued. He saw Minho's fighter moving strangely, jerking through space like a puppet on strings. Minho's voice came over the comm, but it wasn't Minho speaking. The words were wrong, the tone was wrong, everything was wrong. "Target acquired," Minho said in a flat, emotionless voice. "Engaging allies." Minho's fighter opened fire on Captain Nam. Taehyun felt his blood turn to ice. He watched Minho's weapons tear into their squad leader's ship, watched Captain Nam try desperately to evade, watched the inevitable end as the fighter broke apart. "Minho, stop!" Taehyun screamed into the comm. "What are you doing?" But Minho didn't respond. His fighter turned toward Taehyun, weapons charging. The feline weapons specialist, Instructor Mara, saw what was happening. "Cadet Park, he's been compromised. That's not Minho anymore. Defend yourself!" Taehyun's hands moved on the controls. Training took over. He dodged Minho's first attack, then his second. His own weapons were active now, targeting systems locked onto his friend's fighter. He couldn't do it. He couldn't fire on Minho. The unknown ship fired again, hitting Instructor Mara's craft. She went down without a sound. Now it was just Taehyun and the thing controlling Minho. "I'm sorry," Taehyun whispered. His finger pressed the firing button. His weapon struck Minho's fighter dead center. The craft exploded, and Taehyun's friend was gone. The simulation froze. The sphere around Taehyun dissolved, and he was back in the chamber of 9. He was on his knees, breathing hard, tears running down his face. "Interesting," Admiral Vextar said. Her voice was clinical, detached. The human shows genuine emotional response. His biometric readings indicate he is reliving these events for the first time. He killed his own squadmate, War Chief Bront said. Regardless of the circumstances, he fired the killing shot. The squadmate was already dead, Scholar Thiv countered. The neural patterns were clear. Whatever controlled that craft, it was not the original pilot. Matriarch Kel floated down from her elevated position, her energy form pulsing with light. But here's the question that troubles me. The simulation only showed us half the battle. Cadet Park's craft was damaged. He was outgunned and alone, yet he survived. How? Commander Rias brought up new data on the holographic display. According to the recovered flight data, Cadet Park engaged 3 enemy fighters after his squadmate's death. He destroyed all 3. He then disabled a Corvette-class vessel with a precision strike to its engines. Only then did he retreat to his escape pod. Silence filled the chamber. That is impossible, Admiral Vextar said slowly. No cadet of any species could accomplish such a feat. Experienced pilots would struggle against those odds. Yet the data does not lie, Scholar Thiv said. War Chief Bront leaned forward, his massive form casting shadows across the chamber. Human, explain yourself. How did you accomplish this? Taehyun stood up slowly. His legs felt weak. I don't know. I don't remember any of that. The last thing I remember is Minho's fighter exploding. After that, there's nothing until I woke up in the medical bay. You expect us to believe that? Matriarch Kel's voice was sharp. You performed combat maneuvers beyond your training, destroyed multiple enemy targets and have no memory of it. I'm telling the truth, Taehyun said. Another judge spoke for the first time. This one was a crystalline being, geometric and sharp. Perhaps the human is telling the truth. Perhaps something else controlled his actions just as something controlled his squadmate. No, Scholar Thiv said. The neural patterns are different. The squadmate was puppeted by external force. The human acted of his own will. His brain activity shows full consciousness during the combat sequence. Admiral Vextar made a clicking sound with her mandibles. Then we have a mystery. A human cadet who does not remember performing impossible combat feats. A human who killed his own friend, then destroyed an enemy force single-handedly. There are stories, War Chief Bront said slowly. Old stories about humans in battle. Stories about what they call berserker rage, a state where pain and fear disappear, where combat ability increases beyond normal limits. I thought they were myths. They're not myths, Taehyun said quietly. All the judges turned to look at him. In our history, warriors sometimes entered a state of extreme focus during battle. They fought without fear, without hesitation. Some say it's our survival instinct taking complete control. Others say it's something in our brain chemistry, adrenaline and other chemicals flooding our system. You are saying you became this berserker? Matriarch Kel asked. I don't know, Taehyun said honestly. Maybe. Or maybe I just fought like my life depended on it because it did. The judges looked at each other. Even without speaking, Taehyun could sense their communication. They were discussing him, debating, judging. Finally, Admiral Vextar spoke. This changes the nature of the trial. We came here to judge whether Cadet Park was a coward. Instead, we find ourselves asking a different question. If one human cadet can do this, what are humans truly capable of? The question hung in the air like a threat. The second day of the trial began differently. When Taehyun entered the Chamber of Nine, he saw new equipment waiting for him. A chair sat in the center of the room, surrounded by dozens of neural interface cables. They hung from the ceiling like mechanical tentacles, each one tipped with a sensor that would connect directly to his brain. Sit down, Cadet Park, Admiral Vextar said. Her voice was quieter today, almost cautious. Taehyun sat. The chair was cold and uncomfortable, designed for a body shape that wasn't human. The neural cables descended slowly, attaching themselves to his temples, the back of his neck, his forehead. Each connection felt like a small electric shock. What you experienced yesterday was a physical simulation, Commander Rias explained. Today we will probe deeper. We will examine your psychological state during the combat, your fears, your motivations, your true nature. This is a neural interface, Scholar Thiv added. It will allow us to see inside your mind directly. There will be no hiding, no deception possible. We will see who you truly are. Taehyun felt his heart racing. I understand it, do you? Matriarch Kel's energy form pulsed red. This technology is dangerous for humans. Your neural structure is fragile compared to most species. The interface could cause permanent damage, pain, memory loss, in rare cases, death. I volunteer anyway, Taehyun said. I need to know what I did. I need to understand. War Chief Bront made a sound that might have been approval. The human shows courage. Proceed. The neural interface activated. Taehyun's vision went white, then dark, then filled with swirling colors. He felt like he was falling through space and time, through his own memories and thoughts. Everything he had ever experienced played out around him like a storm of images. The judges watched through their own displays. They could see what Taehyun saw, feel what he felt, understand his perspective in a way that words could never convey. They saw his childhood on Earth, a small apartment in the megacity of Seoul. His parents, both military officers, always busy, always preparing for the next deployment. Young Taehyun watching the stars through his window and dreaming of space. They saw his training at the academy, the struggle of being one of the few humans among thousands of alien cadets, the discrimination, subtle and not so subtle, the instructors who expected him to fail, the other cadets who saw humans as weak, primitive, barely worth noticing. They saw his friendship with Minho Choi, two humans supporting each other in a strange and often hostile environment. Late-night conversations about home, about family, about whether they would ever truly be accepted among the stars. And then they saw the battle. But this time, they saw it from inside Taehyun's mind. They felt his horror when Minho turned on the squad. They felt his disbelief, his denial, his desperate hope that there was some mistake. They felt the moment when he accepted the truth. Minho was gone. Something else was controlling his friend's body, using it as a weapon. And they felt the decision, the impossible choice between letting Minho kill him or destroying what was left of his friend. Stop the interface, one of the judges said, a crystalline being whose name Taehyun had never learned. This is too much. The human's pain is overwhelming. No, Admiral Vextar said sharply. Continue. We must see everything, the memory continued. Taehyun firing on Minho's craft, the explosion, the moment of grief that lasted only a second before survival instinct kicked in, and then the change. The judges saw it happen in real time through Taehyun's own neural patterns. Something shifted inside his brain. Fear disappeared. Pain became distant. His thinking became sharp and clear and absolutely focused. He wasn't afraid anymore. He wasn't sad. He wasn't anything except determined to survive. 3 enemy fighters approached. Taehyun's hands moved on the controls with perfect precision. His targeting was flawless. His evasion was instinctive. He fought like a machine, but he wasn't a machine. He was still human, still conscious, still aware. He just didn't care about dying anymore. This is remarkable, Scholar Thiv said, watching the neural data. His fear response has completely shut down. His pain receptors are active, but his brain is not processing the signals. He is injured, but does not feel it. Look at his combat efficiency, War Chief Bront said. Every movement is optimal. No wasted energy. No hesitation. This is what we call apex predator behavior. The first enemy fighter exploded under Taehyun's weapons. The second tried to evade, but Taehyun predicted its movement perfectly. The third attempted to call for help, but Taehyun destroyed its communication array before it could transmit. Then came the Corvette, a ship 10 times the size of Taehyun's fighter. With armor and shields that should have made it invincible, Taehyun studied it for exactly 3 seconds, identified a weakness in the engine shielding, and fired a precision shot that disabled the entire vessel. How did he know where to shoot? Matriarch Kell asked. That weakness would not be obvious to a cadet. He did not know, Scholar Tiv said. He guessed. Or rather, his instinct guided him. Look at the neural patterns. This is not calculated thinking. This is intuition operating at an extraordinary level. The memory ended. The Corvette was disabled. Taehyun's fighter was badly damaged. He had injuries he couldn't feel. His fuel was almost gone, but he had survived. He remembered reaching for the escape pod controls. He remembered the darkness closing in. He remembered thinking one final thought before unconsciousness took him. I'm sorry, Minho. I'm sorry I couldn't save you. The neural interface shut down. The cables withdrew from Taehyun's head. He slumped in the chair, breathing hard, tears streaming down his face. The chamber was silent for a long moment. I understand now, Taehyun said quietly. I understand what I did. I killed them. All of them. I became something that could kill without hesitation. You became what you needed to be, War Chief Bront said. His voice was softer than before. You became a survivor. No, Taehyun said. I became a monster. You became human, Admiral Vextar said. She stood up from her elevated position, her insectoid body unfolding. That is what terrifies us. Not that you killed efficiently, not that you survived against impossible odds, but that you are horrified by your own capabilities. Matriarch Kel floated down to Taehyun's level. Other species, when they enter combat, they accept what they must become. Warriors, killers, they embrace it. But humans fight against your own nature even while using it to survive. You win the battle and then condemn yourselves for winning. Is that wrong? Taehyun asked. It is different, Scholar Thieves said, and difference is dangerous. Another judge spoke, one who had remained silent until now. This one was a gaseous being, formless and shifting. I have studied human history. Your species has fought wars for thousands of years. You have developed weapons capable of destroying your entire world, yet you have not destroyed yourselves. Do you know how rare that is? Taehyun shook his head. Most species in the galaxy follow one of two paths, the gaseous being continued. Either they achieve peace through evolution, losing their aggressive instincts over millions of years, or they destroy themselves in nuclear fire before they ever reach the stars. Humans have done neither. You kept your capacity for violence but learned to control it. You are a species of warriors who choose peace. That is what makes you dangerous. Dangerous to who? Taehyun asked. To everyone, Admiral Vextar said bluntly, including yourselves. The judges began to debate among themselves. Their voices overlapped, some speaking in languages Taehyun couldn't understand even with his translator, but he caught fragments of their concerns. If one human cadet can do this, imagine a human army restrict their advancement before it's too late. They're already too late. They're spreading through the galaxy, not about stopping them. It's about understanding them. Commander Reyes stepped forward. The trial will continue tomorrow with the final test. Cadet Park, you are dismissed. Taehyun stood on shaking legs. As he walked toward the exit, Admiral Vexitar called out to him. Cadet Park, one more thing. He turned back. That moment when you changed, when you became what you needed to survive. Did it feel good? Taehyun thought about the question carefully. The honest answer would be damning. But he had come this far with the truth. No, he said finally. It didn't feel good or bad. It didn't feel like anything. That's what scares me. It was easy. The judges looked at each other. Taehyun could see fear in their alien faces. That is what scares us too, Admiral Vextar said quietly. Taehyun left the chamber. Behind him he heard the judges beginning to argue in earnest. Some wanted to end the trial immediately. Others wanted to continue. A few were suggesting that humans should be restricted from military service entirely, confined to civilian roles, kept away from weapons and power. One voice rose above the others. War Chief Bront, the massive armored warrior from a species known for their combat prowess. You are all fools, Bront said. The humans are not the enemy. Fear is the enemy. If we make them our enemy through prejudice and restriction, we will create the very thing we fear. But even Bront's voice carried a note of uncertainty, because he had seen what Taehyun had seen. He had felt what Taehyun had felt, and he understood, perhaps better than the others, exactly what humanity was capable of becoming. The final day of the trial arrived with heavy rain falling outside the station. Taehyun watched the artificial weather system through his window and wondered if it was meant to be symbolic. The Academy could control the weather in the habitation zones. Someone had chosen rain. When he entered the Chamber of Nine, the atmosphere had changed. The judges sat in their positions, but now they seemed wary, almost afraid. In the center of the chamber stood a machine Taehyun had only heard about in whispered conversations. The Truth Protocol device. It looked like a nightmare made of metal and crystal. Dozens of neural probes extended from a central core, each one designed to penetrate deep into the subject's mind and extract every memory, every thought, every secret. The technology was ancient and dangerous. Some species could survive it easily. Others died screaming. No human had ever been subjected to the Truth Protocol. Cadet Park, Admiral Vextar said, this is your final test. The Truth Protocol will extract your complete memory of the incident. Nothing will be hidden. Nothing will be forgotten. But I must warn you, the procedure is extremely dangerous for humans. Your neural structure is not designed for this level of intrusion. There is a significant chance of permanent damage or death. You can refuse, Matriarch Kell added. If you refuse, we will judge you based on the evidence we already have. Taehyun looked at the machine. He thought about everything that had happened. The dead friends. The missing memories. The fear in the judge's eyes when they looked at him. He thought about what it meant to be human in a galaxy full of species that saw his kind as dangerous unknowns. I volunteer, he said. I need to know the complete truth, and you need to know it too. Very well, Scholar Tiv said. The hive mind's voice was sad. We will proceed. Taehyun approached the machine and sat in the central chair. The neural probes moved toward him slowly like predators circling prey. When they made contact with his head, the pain was immediate and overwhelming. He screamed. Neural activity spiking, Scholar Thiv reported. His pain receptors are overloading. Continue, Admiral Vextar ordered. The machine dug deeper into Taehyun's mind. It bypassed the conscious memories and went straight to the buried ones. The memories his traumatized brain had locked away for protection. Images flooded the chamber's displays, visible to all the judges. They saw the battle again, but this time they saw everything. Every detail that Taehyun's conscious mind had been unable to process. They saw Captain Junho Nam studying his display screen, his expression changing from professional calm to absolute horror. They saw him look at Taehyun with desperate eyes. Listen to me carefully, Captain Nam had said. His voice was tight with controlled panic. This is not a random attack. They're testing us. Testing humans specifically. I've seen the sensor data. Those ships have been tracking human patrols for weeks. What? Taehyun had asked. Why? Because they're afraid of us, Captain Nam said. The Coalition has factions that want humanity restricted or removed entirely. They think we're too dangerous. This attack is designed to either kill us or make us look incompetent. That's insane. Is it? Captain Nam's fighter jerked as an explosion rocked nearby. Look around the galaxy, Taehyun. How many species join the Coalition with our level of aggressive instinct still intact? How many species reach the stars while still knowing how to make war? I don't understand. You will. Captain Nam's voice was fading as his ship took more damage. Survive, Taehyun. Survive and show them what we really are. Not monsters, not saints, just humans trying to do the right thing. Then Minho's fighter had turned on them, controlled by the enemy's technology. Then Captain Nam had died. Then everything Taehyun had already remembered, but now they saw more. They saw the complete battle, every decision, every action, and they saw something the previous simulations had missed. Taehyun hadn't lost control. He hadn't entered a berserker rage. He had made a choice. After Minho died, after the squad was gone, Taehyun had looked at his damaged fighter and his limited options. He could run. He could try to escape immediately, or he could fight. And in that moment, with his friends dead around him and the enemy thinking they had won, Taehyun had decided something. He decided to stop holding back. Interesting, War Chief Bront said, watching the neural data. Look at his thought patterns. This is not instinct. This is calculation. The judges saw Taehyun analyze the enemy ships. He identified their weaknesses, predicted their tactics, planned his attack. Then he executed the plan with perfect precision. Every shot was aimed. Every maneuver was intentional. The apparent berserker rage was actually cold-focused combat efficiency. He's been limiting himself, Scholar Thiv said with something like awe. All this time at the academy, he's been deliberately holding back his capabilities. Why? Matriarch Kell asked. Why would he handicap himself? The memory showed them. Taehyun's thoughts during training exercises, his fear of standing out too much, his concern about making other species uncomfortable, his desire to fit in, to be accepted, to not be seen as a threat. Captain Nam's final words echoed through the memory. Show them what we really are. The Truth Protocol continued its extraction. New information appeared, information that Taehyun himself hadn't known. The machine had accessed data from his fighter's computer, information that had been locked in corrupted files. They saw communications from the enemy ships. The language was encrypted, but Scholar Thiv's hive mind began translating it in real time. Target is human cadet. Engagement protocol. Force combat scenario and record performance data. Human subject displaying unexpected resistance. Adjusting tactics. Warning. Human combat efficiency exceeds projections. Recommend withdrawal. Negative. Command orders complete data collection. Continue engagement. Human has disabled lead corvette. This is impossible. Our intelligence was incorrect. The final transmission was just 2 words. Abort mission. Silence filled the chamber. They were testing him, War Chief Bront said slowly. Testing human capabilities in actual combat. And they didn't like what they found, Admiral Vextar added. The door to the chamber opened suddenly. Commander Reyes entered, followed by another human. She was older, probably in her 40s, wearing the uniform of a Coalition intelligence officer. Her name tag read, Agent Soman Kang. I apologize for the interruption, Agent Kang said. Her voice was crisp and professional. But new information has come to light that is relevant to this trial. Admiral Vextar's mandibles clicked in annoyance. This is highly irregular. So is testing human cadets by arranging attacks on them, Agent Kang replied. She activated a data chip and new information appeared on the chamber's displays. Intelligence has been investigating similar incidents across Coalition space. In the past 6 months, there have been 17 attacks on human military patrols. All followed the same pattern. Unknown ships, corrupted data, and in every case, humans were specifically targeted. Why was this not reported? Matriarch Kell demanded. Because the attacks were sophisticated enough to look like random pirate activity, Agent Kang said. It took us months to identify the pattern. And when we did, we discovered something disturbing. She changed the display. Classified documents appeared, covered in security warnings. These attacks were authorized by a faction within the Coalition itself, a group that believes humanity's integration into galactic society is a threat. They call themselves the Preservation Council. They've been conducting tests to gather evidence that humans are too dangerous for military service. The judges began talking at once, their voices overlapping in multiple languages. Agent Kang waited for them to quiet down. The attack on Cadet Park's squad was the final test, she continued. They wanted to see what a human would do when pushed to the limit. They got their answer. And what answer was that? Admiral Vextar asked quietly. Agent Kang looked at Taehyun, who was still connected to the Truth Protocol machine, still experiencing every moment of the revelation. They learned that humans will survive, that we will fight when we have to, and that we will not break easily. War Chief Bront stood up from his seat, his massive form impressive even among the other judges. This trial is a farce. Cadet Park is not the one who should be judged here. Agreed, Scholar Thiv said. The question is not whether he acted appropriately. The question is why he was forced into that situation at all. Admiral Vextar looked around at the other judges. We must take a vote. Not on Cadet Park's innocence, that is clear, but on what we do about the larger situation. First, remove him from that machine, Matriarch Kell said. He has endured enough. The Truth Protocol deactivated. The neural probes withdrew from Taehyun's head. He slumped in the chair, barely conscious, blood trickling from his nose where the probes had been too invasive. Agent Kang moved quickly to support him. You did well, she said quietly. Your captain would be proud. Taehyun tried to speak but couldn't form words. Everything hurt. His mind felt raw and exposed, like every thought had been turned inside out. The judges began their deliberation. It took 3 hours. Through it all, Taehyun sat in the corner of the chamber, recovering slowly, trying to process everything he had learned. Captain Nam had known. He had known they were being tested. He had chosen to send his final order anyway, survive and show them what we are. 6 months had passed since the trial. Taehyun stood in his quarters at the academy and looked at his dress uniform hanging on the wall. Today was graduation day. After everything that had happened, he was finally going to complete his training. But things were different now. The trial had become famous across Coalition space. Everyone knew about the human cadet who had faced the 9 judges alone. The story had spread through every station, every ship, every world where Coalition members lived. Some saw Taehyun as a hero. Others saw him as proof of everything they feared about humanity. The attacks on human patrols had stopped. The Preservation Council had been exposed and disbanded, their leaders facing justice. But the fear remained. In committee meetings and council chambers across the galaxy, politicians and military leaders debated the human question. Should humans be restricted? Should they be watched more carefully? Should they be trusted with weapons and authority? A knock came at his door. Taehyun opened it to find Jiwoo Kim standing there, also in her dress uniform. "Ready for graduation?" she asked with a smile. "As ready as I'll ever be," Taehyun replied. They walked together through the academy halls. Other cadets passed them, and Taehyun noticed the reactions. Some nodded respectfully. Others whispered and stared. A few moved out of the way quickly, as if afraid to get too close. "They still don't know what to make of you," Jiwoo said quietly. "Half the academy thinks you're amazing. The other half thinks you're terrifying. What do you think?" Taehyun asked. Jiwoo considered for a moment. "I think you're my friend. I think you did what you had to do. And I think Captain Nam would be proud." They reached the graduation hall. It was massive, with seating for thousands of cadets, instructors, and guests. Holographic displays showed the names of every graduating cadet from across Coalition space. Taehyun found his seat next to the other human cadets. There were 12 of them graduating this year, out of nearly 3,000 total cadets. He recognized most of them. They had formed a quiet support network, helping each other deal with the challenges of being human in a predominantly alien military. One of them leaned over to him. Her name was Hana Yoon, a combat pilot with exceptional scores in every category. "I heard Admiral Song is here," she whispered. "The human admiral. He came specifically to see you graduate." Taehyun felt his stomach tighten. Admiral Taeyoung Song was the highest-ranking human officer in the Coalition military. He was a legend, a man who had fought for 30 years to prove that humans belonged among the stars. The ceremony began. One by one, cadets were called to the stage to receive their commissions. When species names were announced, the audience reacted with polite applause. When human names were called, the applause was mixed with a few boos and some uncomfortable silence. Finally, they reached the top graduates. The commandant called out names: valedictorian, salutatorian, combat excellence awards, tactical achievement honors, and for the most exceptional performance under extreme circumstances, the commandant announced, "Cadet Taehyun Park." The hall erupted in mixed reaction. Some cheered loudly. Others sat in cold silence. Taehyun walked to the stage, aware of every eye on him. The commandant, a tall insectoid administrator, handed him his commission papers. "Congratulations, Lieutenant Park," she said formally. Then quieter, she added, "You have made the Academy question many assumptions. That is not always comfortable, but it is always necessary." As Taehyun walked off the stage, he saw Admiral Song standing at the side. The Admiral was in his 60s, with gray hair and the weathered face of someone who had spent decades in space. He gestured for Taehyun to follow him. They walked to a private room away from the ceremony. Inside, Agent Summon Kang was waiting, along with someone Taehyun didn't expect. A young woman, probably around 20, with red eyes from crying. She looked familiar. "Lieutenant Park," Admiral Song said. "This is Yeji Choi, Minho's younger sister." Taehyun's breath caught in his throat. He looked at Yeji and saw Minho's features in her face. The same eyes, the same shape of jaw. "I'm so sorry," Taehyun said. The words felt inadequate. "Your brother was my friend." "What happened to him?" "I know what happened," Yeji interrupted. Her voice was steady despite her tears. "I've read all the reports. I've seen the Truth Protocol data that was cleared for family access. I know he was controlled by enemy technology. I know you tried to save him." "I killed him," Taehyun said bluntly. "That's the truth." "No," Yeji said firmly. "You ended his suffering. The enemy killed my brother when they took control of his mind. You just stopped them from using his body as a weapon." Agent Kang explained everything to me. She stepped forward and hugged Taehyun suddenly. He stood frozen, not sure how to respond. "Thank you," Yeji whispered. "Thank you for surviving. Thank you for making his death mean something. The trial, everything you endured, it exposed the conspiracy. Other humans are safer now because of what you did." She stepped back, wiping her eyes. "Minho always said you were the bravest person he knew." He was right. After Yeji left, Admiral Song poured himself a drink from a flask he carried. He offered one to Taehyun, who declined. "You've caused quite a stir, Lieutenant," Song said. "The 9 judges are still debating what to do about humanity. 3 of them want restrictions. 3 want full integration. 3 are undecided. What happens now?" Taehyun asked. "That depends on you," Agent Kang said. She pulled up a holographic display showing several orders. "You've been offered a position with an elite strike team. Fast promotion, dangerous missions, high visibility. Some humans think you should take it. Show the galaxy what we can do." "And others?" Taehyun asked. Admiral Song smiled slightly. Others think you should refuse. Go back to standard service. Keep your head down and let this whole situation calm down. Taehyun looked at the orders. The elite position was everything a young officer could want. Recognition, advancement, opportunity, but something felt wrong about it. There's a third option, he said slowly. I could request assignment as an instructor. Both Admiral Song and Agent Kang looked surprised. An instructor? Song asked. You're one of the most talented combat pilots in the Academy's history. You want to teach? Yes, Taehyun said. The trial showed me something. The galaxy is afraid of humans because they don't understand us. They see our capacity for violence, but not our capacity for restraint. They see our survival instinct, but not our moral choices. He thought about the Truth Protocol, about the memories it had revealed. I spent years at this academy trying to hide what I was capable of. I was afraid of making others uncomfortable. I was afraid of being seen as dangerous. But Captain Nam's final order was to show them what we really are. Not just warriors. Not just survivors, humans. What does that mean? Agent Kang asked. It means I want to teach both humans and aliens, Taehyun explained. I want to show human cadets that they don't have to hide their abilities. And I want to show alien cadets that humans can be trusted with power. Because we understand responsibility. Admiral Song was quiet for a long moment. Then he laughed, a genuine sound of approval. You've got spine, Lieutenant. Most officers your age would jump at the elite assignment. You're choosing the harder path. Is it approved? Taehyun asked. I'll make sure it is, Song replied. The Academy needs instructors who understand what it means to be different. Who better than someone who lived it? The graduation ceremony continued without them. When it ended, Taehyun returned to find the other human cadets waiting for him. Jiwoo, Hana, and the others gathered around. We heard, Hana said. You're going to be an instructor? If they approve it, Taehyun confirmed. Good, Jiwoo said. The next generation of humans needs someone like you showing them the way. Someone who knows what it's like. They talked for a while, sharing stories and making plans for the future. Most of them would be shipping out to various assignments across Coalition space. They would be scattered among the stars, representing humanity in 1,000 different places. As the group dispersed, Taehyun walked alone to the Academy Memorial Garden. It was a quiet place where names of fallen cadets were inscribed on crystalline pillars. He found the newest additions: Captain Junho Nam, Minho Choi, Instructor Mara, the 2 insectoid pilots, the reptilian engineer. He stood there for a long time, reading their names over and over. I survived, he said quietly. Just like you ordered, Captain. And I'm going to try to make it mean something. A voice spoke behind him. They still talk about you, you know. Taehyun turned to find War Chief Bront standing there. The massive armored judge looked different outside the Chamber of Nine, less intimidating somehow. Who talks about me? Taehyun asked. The judges, Bront replied. We meet regularly to discuss coalition matters. Your trial comes up in almost every meeting. Admiral Vextar is particularly troubled. Why? Bront moved to stand beside Taehyun, looking at the memorial. Because she saw something in you that she did not expect. She thought humans were dangerous because of your capacity for violence. But the Truth Protocol showed her something else. You are dangerous because you choose when to use that violence. That level of self-control in a species so young is unprecedented. Is that good or bad? Taehyun asked. Both, Bront said honestly. It means you can be trusted. But it also means you cannot be controlled through fear. Many in the Coalition prefer